When I say, who's the master? You say, no.
Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Whew. What is up, guys? Showing Up the King here, back with another video. Episode 15 of Darling in the FranXX. I gotta give it one more time. Slow clap. My God. This episode exemplifies what good anime is. I have not been this emotionally invested in an anime in a very, very long time. Let me paint a picture for you guys on how I experienced this episode. I thought about doing a live reaction, but I decided against it because, I'm going on vacation with the family, and, I was at a nail salon getting my feet done. You can't go to a pool side and have jacked up feet. So, I had to get the boys, had to get them worked on. So I'm sitting here in getting this spa pedicure, and I'm like, you know what? Let's catch up on some anime. So I power up Crunchyroll on my phone. I watch My Hero Academia. Solid episode, nothing wrong with it. And I was like, after the episode had ended, I was like, let's see what else I got. So scroll through, and bam, Darling in the FranXX had just aired. And I was like, yes, it's up. All right, I was going to do a live reaction, but nah, bump that. Let's watch it. So I'm going through this episode. This woman is working miracles on my feet, and I get to the last 5 to 10 minutes of this episode. And for those of you who've already watched, you know what the last 5 to 10 minutes of this episode was. I don't have to go into it deeply. Needless to say, I'm sitting here on my phone while this woman is working on my feet, and I'm like, trying everything in my power to hold back tears. Like, I'm a grown ass man. I'm a husband. I got 2 small kids, and I'm sitting here in this daggone salon literally fighting back man tears because of this daggone episode. That's how deep this shit goes right here, guys. So I just wanted to tell you how I experienced this first episode. So anyway, so episode's over. I go back home, and here I am in the man cave. And I just got finished watching it for the second time because I realized that if I want to provide you guys with in-depth analysis of what I just watched, I had to watch it again because the first time I watched it was just for pure enjoyment, and the second time is for more analytical purposes and enjoyment. So the first half of this video is just going to be gush. Let's get that out of the way. I want to talk about how, in the second half, I'll actually get into the world building that they still managed to pull off. Like, do you guys understand that the studio that made this show has killed every random trope that people hate about anime? The dragging things out, the false tension, the sometimes annoying pairings and things that they do. This is the first series that I've watched in a very long time that just said, fuck all that. We're just going to give you enough drama to keep you interested, but then we're going to give you what you want. And we got all of that in this episode. So let's talk about that. So one of the things that I was actually really worried about was I thought that I knew the Grand Crevasse episode was coming, but they could have easily had made this episode be like a reflection episode, like, as they're heading to the battle, they could have been drawing out the drama between Ichigo and Hiro and what happened with that kiss at the end of episode 14. They had the entire internet up in a roar, but they didn't do that. Like, I even thought for a second that even when the battle started, that Goro and Ichigo would not be able to pilot together because of what he saw. But we didn't get any of that either. Like, this studio was smart enough to realize that none of that shit mattered. It was this grand battle at the Grand Crevasse that mattered, and that's what they focused on. So this episode takes place hours later. The battle has already been started. 02 is already on the field in her beast mode. And according to the people, she's already gone through all those stamen already. So they're all dead. All those guys have already been used up in the earlier battles, and she's piloting her mech by herself. She's fully integrated. Her horns have turned into vines and is connected directly to Strazinja, and she's just going beast mode and just killing everything in sight. It still seems like she's not like destroying indiscriminately. She's still protecting Squad 13 in certain ways, as you would see towards the end of the episode, but in general, she still is conscious of what's going on. She's just hyper focused right now. So, again, I just cannot stop gushing about how good this episode was. The music, just the world building, everything they did in this episode was just perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So let's get into some of the nitty gritty. Some of the things that we end up finding out in this episode. Number one, I think it's probably about 100% confirmed now that the Calaxosaurs that they are fighting are human, or once had been human. How they became the Calaxosaurs, we still don't know, but there's a scene towards the end of the episode where the team cuts up in one of the cores and an embryo falls out. So the cores of each Calaxosaur that you have to destroy in order to kill it, we've never actually seen the innards of that thing because it usually gets speared and then you usually don't see anything else. But it's almost like an embryo. It's an embryo inside of a cocoon. So you can kind of think of it like giving childbirth almost. The womb. So the core itself is a womb, and inside the womb is an actual embryo, which has probably either been grown in a lab or used to be human and it got turned into a Calaxosaur. We'll have to wait and see to get the full story on that. But I think it's pretty much confirmed that the Calaxosaurs are human, or they were some sort of embryos, whether or not they've been grown in a laboratory or they were turned in from humans. We don't know that yet. So we also found out in this episode that the Grand Crevasse is actually a giant plantation, or what they want is inside of this giant plantation. So there's huge walls that the Calaxosaurs have built up, and they're pouring out of this location. So that's the whole point of this episode, is to get past these Calaxosaurs and blow the roof off of this plantation so they can get to the Grand Crevasse, and they can rebuild civilization from what the upper management is, what I'm going to call them. That's kind of what they want. And then we also found out in this episode that these guys are true assholes. Like Team 6, is it? Plantation 26's squad, they end up doing a suicide mission, and it was sad, but again, it's kind of what we expect. Like, that's why you raise these children to not really have emotions. So when you need these kind of moments, they're not thinking straight. They're like, to them, the greatest honor is to die for for Papa and the higher ups. And another thing, speaking of Papa, I'm starting to think that he has ulterior motives. Like, I always knew, because again, there was this new way of him doing things. The reason why he wanted Squad 13 to have emotions and kind of go through this experiment with these new type of mechs that they're using. So their FranXX are very different than even Team 9's. Team 9's theirs are modified, so, but at the same time, they're all the same. So Squad 13 has the newest FranXX that are available right now. So I thought that was very interesting as well. And the fact that after the higher-ups were talking about how they didn't really care and how they were going to do this, and how Papa kind of distanced himself from them, was like, I kind of want to be down here in the heat of the action. I think he did that more so just so that he can get away from that entire situation, because I don't think he likes what they're doing. So let's go ahead and talk about the meat and potatoes of this episode, the last 5 to 10 minutes. So there is this super level Calaxosaur that is the size of a freaking plantation. It's actually, his back has an entire volcano mountain range on it. It burst out and it's actually headed straight for the main plantation of Squad 13. So their mission has now become, stop this Calaxosaur before it kills everybody, so it clears their home. So Hero finally figures out that he needs to speak with 02. He gets out in his own mech suit, and that's when the drama happens. And this is where I want to give the studio their props, because it was very complex how things happened in episode 14. So for Ichigo, the fact that she finally, like, there are two MVPs here. It was Hiro for getting himself a pair and going for who he wants. He wanted his woman, so he went for his woman. And I'm going to give the second MVP award to Goro. Goro, even seeing that Ichigo was kissing Hiro, he knew. Because again, I thought this was going to be more manufactured drama, but they didn't even do that. Like, it was like Goro knew that Hiro cares for 02. He wants to see 02. And the only person that was stopping this entire thing was Ichigo, and he was not having it. So when Ichigo tried to pull that BS on the battlefield and tried to stop Hiro again, Goro was like, look, you're worried about 02 just as much as Hiro is. Let him talk to her. He has something he needs to say. So the fact that he stopped Ichigo, snapped her out of her little funk, allowed Goro to let Hiro take over and get himself to 02. And again, the studio, they're so good. They're so good. The fact that Ichigo finally got to understand what it was that Hiro wanted and loved and what he cared about when they merged their minds together was the perfect way for her to understand that you are not the one for him. It is 02. So the fact that, like, that was beautiful, because some of the arguments that people had from last week's episode didn't take into account that us as viewers, we know the situation because we're seeing all sides at once. But if you look at it from a character perspective, Ichigo doesn't know 02 and Hiro's history together. They don't know what happened with them if they were kids. And from Ichigo's perspective, all she knows is what Alpha told her. That 02 is a man-eater. She'll make him not human. She'll use him up and spit him out. So from her perspective, all she's trying to do is protect her for her friend or the person that she loves. So I kind of understood it. I still thought that kiss was just ridiculous, but I can understand from her perspective, knowing what she knew. That's the information that she was provided with. So I get it. So the fact that they had that the mind meld was perfect because it allowed Ichigo to finally see why Hiro loves 02, what they went through, and all that he cares about is 02. At the end of the day, after that kiss, after everything that he's done, he only wants 02. And it finally got through to Ichigo, and she was able to just realize that, fine, I'll get you to 02 so we can get this thing done. So I really love that. And I even like, now the one gripe, if I had to have any gripe about this entire episode, it's this. So Ichigo gets Hiro to 02 and she's pissed, and she gets her frustration out by attacking 02, and 02 knocks off her hat and exposes her hair, and that was actually pretty cool. I love her little temper tantrum that she kind of had, because understanding the person that you love is now gone and out of your reach, I'd probably be a little upset too. So the fact that she had to get in her couple of parting shots on 02, I actually thought that was cool. The part that I didn't like was the fact that after her hat got clearly knocked off and Hiro gets into the piloting, gets into 02's mech, the very next scene when you see Ichigo in her mech, the hat is back on like it never happened. So I thought that was an editing mistake. I get it, but that hat should have still been off. So that was my only one gripe about the episode. So Hiro gets back with 02, and he's able to mind meld with her one more time, and you kind of get more of that world building that I was talking about that this show does so well. Like, excuse me for a second, because I had to write it down just to make sure that I touched on these points. So we get the truth, and we get a callback to the nail biting. That was the thing that got me. So if you remember in the earlier episodes, there was always this point once 02 started her losing her humanity, she was always biting her nails and biting her fingernails, and we were always trying to figure out, like, why is she biting her fingernails? Like, is that just her being a mad beast? Like, what is that? Like, no, but again, it was very subtle. Like, I know people talked about it, but you didn't really understand and get it. So we find out there's a reason for even the smallest details, and that's why I love this show. So the reason why she was biting her nails is because she figured out that through her blood was the only way to go back and remember her original darling, which was Hero. So apparently Hero's memories got wiped. We already found that out last episode. They tried to wipe Zero Two's memories, but they could not wipe her memories completely. And she was able to remember her original darling at least a little bit by ingesting her own blood and remembering the wound that she had gotten, and that's how she was able to remember Hero. And it also is the same reason we figure out why Hero, and it's confirmed this time, we figure out that the reason why Hero can pilot with Zero Two is because at a young age he ingested her blood cells. So his blood, her blood is mixed in with him, which is the reason why when they pilot together she doesn't drain him dry, because their blood matches. Now, how they're going to, if they actually figure that out, are they going to do a situation in the next couple of episodes where they get rid of Hero and just say, hey, as long as we mix your blood with any other pilot, we can have them merge together? I don't see, if you see how the episode ends, I don't think they're going to go that way, because of course we get the gold mode, God mode for the to borrow from the Gundam. We get the power up mode for Zero Two's Gundam. I keep calling it Gundam. Her Frank gets its power up mode once they actually meld, and that end scene, oh my god, where I shed a man tear. Again, I'll take you guys back to that moment where Hero is like hugging her and telling his feelings that you never see the MC of any anime do. He's usually this shy dickhead who's just kind of pervy or never gets to say how he truly feels about the character that he likes. And we always get like all these drawn out episodes of will they, won't they, and they really never get any satisfying conclusion. Not in Darling in the Franxx. The fact that, again, the fact that they talked it out in this actual episode, the fact that they were able to express their feelings toward each other is like, it was, you can't even describe it unless you're in a real relationship. Like, it was amazing. Like, when Zero Two said, I love you, and he replied, I love you too, and he actually kissed her. I was sitting here as I was watching this thing in the nail salon. I'm like, Hero, you better kiss that girl. You better kiss that girl and not be the one that had her kiss you. You are the man. Kiss that girl right now. And he did it. And I was just like, he did it. He did it. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Like, the culmination of 14 episodes of just drama and world building. It was just amazing. Like, hands down, one of the best anime I've watched in a long time, and I'm not joking. So in the end, we get the love power up, and kind of borrowing from Dragon Ball Super. So they pilot this mech and they rip apart this Calaxosaur and exposes its core that has multiple other cores in it. That's another thing that's kind of really weird. So that was probably a plantation full of people that got turned into that mega Calaxosaur. That's what I'm thinking, at least. But whew, and you know, that was pretty much the episode. Like, guys, it's such a good dodge, such a good episode. Like, I don't even have to say this. This is a 10 out of 10. Darling in the Franxx, you guys just amaze me at every step of the way. But it's time to talk. Let's get into this. Comment in the section below. Thumbs up the video. Subscribe to the channel. Click bell notifications. I will, when the preview for the next episode is out, I will be doing a video for it. Like I said before, I am going to be going on vacation soon, but I will be able to do episode 16 review as well. I hope you guys are here to watch it. Showing Up the King, and I have to say, I'm happy I'm back to doing my anime reviews. Darling in the Franxx, you guys fucking rock.